we just been last week in New York, invited at the API Days event, and it was a luxury, and we are very grateful how the organizers brought empathy there. We are also immensely grateful to everybody in empathy, so many people behind the empathy developer portal that we call eDocs, that was the winner as the best enterprise dev portal, and some very good contestants and participants in that competition that took place late last year. As a result of that, API Days invited empathy to the event to present this key characteristic of the developer portal, that is the Holon search. The Holon search. And the Holon search, Pedro, would you like to put forward the slides?
Yeah.
The Holon search, when you do that, it was part of our open innovation venture. You can see on our site, oi.empathy.co. And the Holon search was an initiative that we put together, inspired by the idea of the holons. If we can go a couple of the slides ahead, please, Pedro. And if we can go one more, please. So the Holon search, as a result of, a key element in this position of the developer portal, I have to start by making a confession here. We were almost embarrassed that we didn't have a search in our developer portal. We are a search company, and we didn't have a search in this key portal that is used by everyone who is trying to discover or integrating empathy componentry. And we didn't have a search not because we don't take search lightly, but just the contrary. We didn't have a search because we were thinking that we needed to think this and approach this very differently and embrace more than just a conventional search. And the empathy developer portal has this complexity and this multiplicity of sections. So we embrace this new idea, something that doesn't exist. And the idea was to bring forward a new form of representing search results. And if you please, Pedro, go to the next slide. We embraced the Arthur Koestler approach to representing complexity, and this idea of the holon. The holon as a representation that incorporates multiple parts, and yet it represents that the whole is greater than the sum of those constituent parts. If you look, for example, at, a bicycle, and you take all the parts apart, and you try to understand the bicycle by all the parts that constitute the bicycle, it's not going to tell you what the bicycle is about. The bicycle is something else, and it provokes another kind of relations and experiences, and it has another kind of meaning, right? The same happens, of course, with living organisms. So Koestler has this idea of the holons to represent complexity as one unit that contains the units, but you are aware of the wholeness and the hierarchical nature. So we said, how can we bring this to search? It's quite exciting, and to search results. So if you please go to the next slide. We said, well, what if the search result set is not just a flat land that has this flatness, this squareness, this dump out of an array or a list, which is pretty much a reflection of a computing mind. And what if we actually add these hierarchies, this expression of relevance in shape and form? And we started to entertain that idea that perhaps the most relevant result doesn't have to be the first, and it can have different shape, and it can have different motion, and it can have different relationship in shape and motion as per the neighbors. And this, and I open a very important parenthesis here, was key as we were embracing new ideas to represent vectors and the relevance with the depth and the complexity of the relationships between concepts. which opens up so much and is such a key differentiator in empathy. So if we go to the next slides, please, and you take it over, Pedro. Sorry, before that, Pedro, not many people know, but he's an architect by trade, and he then also, of course, studied and formed himself spectacularly in front engineering, and that gives him a very particular perspective on a project like this. Of course, many other people have been contributing to this project, and we continue to grow it. But yeah, Pedro, his design and front engineering style is inevitably elevated by your vision in architecture and structures and estates, which I think it shows in this Holon venture. So I'll pass it over to you, Pedro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the comment. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Pedro. Hello to everybody on Empathy and on LinkedIn Live. I'm going to explain how we took the Holon concept and we transformed it into a real content search solution, a real and working content search solution. But first, before we enter into the details of the process, I'm going to share a demo where you will be able to see how the holons work. See, you can see that this is the homepage of the Empathy Platform docs. This is the navigation bar that we had before that wasn't a real search, as Angel explained before. Then if we click in that button, we open the Holon layer. We have a landing where we explain the basic ideas, the basic concepts that configure the Holon results, how to understand them. Then we have a list of recommendations, and clicking in one of them will trigger a new search. Here we can see some results. We can see also a legend there that explains what the color means. We have these that are final page results that are more closer to what we traditionally will expect from a search engine. Then these are category results. These are categories of results that when you pass the mouse over, you can see what pages they contain, and clicking in one of them will filter the query and trigger a new query with this category. We can repeat this process to fine-tune the search that we want to get. Once we are in one of these states, we can go back. We have two ways of going back. We can use these breadcrumbs over there, and we can click outside the main Holon, the main gray Holon that you can see in the back. Then, once we decided that we want to enter into some page, we can click into a final page result, and we can check, read the content. We can use the Holon to navigate again and use this as an alternative way of navigation or not discovery. If we type, for example, a search here like discovery, we will trigger a new search. We will get a new set of results, and we will navigate into a related page this way. So as you can see, it's not only working as a search engine, also it's working as an alternative way to navigate, to discover through the docs. So now we are going to talk about the design process. This is the proof of concept, the first version of the holons that we had working, and this is the final design, the current state. As you can see, we've made a lot of efforts to make this more legible for the user. For example, we've chosen to apply different colors related to the different topics that you could see in the legend. We have made a very strong effort on differentiating final results that have these icons with the page and the category results that will have a set of circles inside, explaining how many results we can expect inside. Also, we've made a big effort trying to differentiate the relevance of each element by size. About the development process, first, for the backend part, the backend is composed of three parts: the parser, that crawls over empathy platform docs and gets the titles, the breadcrumbs, the metadata, the content, and pass that to the indexer and then to the search plugin. And then the search plugin, when we do a query when we call the search plugin, we will get a list of results, not only final results, but also categories that are related and that will contain another results inside. Then in the front-end part, we have made, as you saw before, proof of concept. First, we were testing the D3 and Vue.js, that are the libraries that we are using for creating this visualization. And then we were doing some user tests, user experience tests, and we were fine-tuning different things. For example, things like the breadcrumbs in the top part of the holons were part of these studies. Also, you can see that there's the main challenges of this front-end process have been fine-tuning the relevance and the legibility equilibrium, as if we put all in the difference between one circle and another into the relevance, maybe we are getting a worse legibility. So we were trying to equilibrate that, but also being true at the same time. We made a strong effort into the transitions because we want the user to get the experience, a very semantic experience when they are navigating. For example, if you can see here that when you click into a circle, the circles expands and cover all the area. So you have the feeling that you are diving in a new search. And when you click outside the holon and you go back, you will get the feeling that you are closing the circle. So all of these transitions were really important to make it more understandable, and it was a very strong effort to fine-tune this in the most smooth way. And well, really, this has been the process until this moment about the holons. We plan to iterate way more into this, and it's the moment to have questions and answers.
Well, the questions come in, to give a little bit of the history of the holons. This started as an academy program. I don't know if anybody can put in the LinkedIn Live the link to the academy program. The academy program that Jose Maria drives is such a key source of, newness and lively, incredible, disruptive ideas. And again, the academy program, many people who supported this, and you guys are stars. And the academy program cannot take place without the support of the many people who embrace these challengers who come with great ideas that challenge, the very empathy teams. And then this was transitioned from the academy program to the oi.empathy.co program. If anybody can put the link in there too. That's the open innovation program that we have 3 umbrellas: open relevance, which is incorporated under open relevance, open privacy, and open explainability. Again, that's another iteration in the methodology of experimentation, free-flowing experimentation, in this case, an expressive morphological search that can give form to vectors, semantic relationships, etc. Right? So the open innovation is another iteration, and that's pretty cool. And I can't resist this. That bridge behind me, I'm in Cincinnati, and that bridge, it's the same architect, and it was the pilot. It was the open innovation program for the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a mini Brooklyn Bridge. And that, remember the Brooklyn Bridge, I think it's John Roden or something like that. It was the first ever motorized cable bridge to be built. So it's quite an enterprise, right? And of course, it went through different iterations of and methodology of prototyping and experimentation to this very one that was the last before the Broken Beast was built. Anyway, any questions in there we can support?
I have one actually. I love how the information is presented here. Is there, like, as this evolves, maybe this could evolve for the documentation to actually lack a table of contents and kind of like innovate in a way that everything works so visually as we see in the Holon search?
Pedro, what do you think?
Oh, sorry. Well, I think that we already make an effort in the documentation to make things as visually as we can. For example, we have an interactive roadmap. We have a very interactive release notes and change log and everything. So we have interactive examples also in the documentation, but I think that this is a step further into that direction, and that we should probably a step further and further into that direction and into getting the most visual documentation possible. Yes, it's something that is back there in the.
You're talking about adding 3D, about putting small videos on the results and the holons and images or icons. Yes, of course, progressing towards that imagery. And if you go to the DevPortal eDocs portal already, you see some of that transpiring, right? It has that intention. But great question, Jorge. Thank you so much. Thank you. Does anybody have more questions? I have a question on accessibility, because I know Carmen Rendueles, who's behind the front composition of this, is amazingly committed, rightly so, to accessibility. How did you guys take accessibility with, or also let's think about responsiveness in this new angle? I don't know, Pedro, if you can answer that.
Well, we have. As you have said, Carmen Rendueles did some testing and tried how to, with helping tools for navigation, assisted tools, how to navigate through the holons. And we've made some tests, and you can indeed navigate through the results. There's still an effort there to be done, as it's not perfect, but I think that it's not going to be as difficult as some people could expect, because in the end, we are talking about a list of results that is that you can navigate. Maybe there's we are doing a lot with the hover, with the mouse over the elements. That could be also something that we should treat as, maybe when we are navigating through the keyboard, we should trigger away when you can expand an item before entering. But it's something that we have to work in, but it's not so far. I mean, and it's not it's going to work. Let's say. Yes. Also,
another question in there about the tactile, that it feels tactile and adequate for tablets or mobile. It's interesting, because I think his name is, forgive me, so many names, but I think is Raul, or I forgot, one of the guys who was in the first early academy guys working on this. That was one of the key aspects that they saw as its potential future, to be very tactile, Craig, and to be a very rich experience for touch devices. Which of course is a space to unfold here for sure, but great question.
Yes, also I think that in the tablet and mobile devices, probably some kind of zoom in, zoom out can be part of this and can help also.
Very cool, very cool. Well, if there are no more questions, I just want to say
I have a little comment.
Oh, please go ahead.
Yes, I cannot resist myself. To me, the most valuable thing here is how many ideas it provokes.
Yeah.
It is because in search we are obsessed with relevance and AI as as the technology, doing the sorting for us. But in a way, search it's more of a journey, right? It's not the final moment of finding. It is just exploring. So of course, this kind of experimenting around how we display information, it's an amazing field, which has to make us really say, it's this new era of generative AI, this new era, these new technologies. But in a way, how about the experience? How about how we show information? We can show it, in circular ways. We can show it more visually. We can show it more as a conversation. Just the first Holon, there's the next one, and you can actually iterate through those in a more human way rather than immersive. And depending on the domain, it will be better or not for images, for documents, for content, for e-commerce with products. But just to be the comment or the observation is that this has opened really, my eyes at least, to really think of search, exploration, discovery from not only the data side of things, but also on the expressive side of data, of how we present it, how we time the presentation, how we adapt it to different formats, to different devices, and so on. So congrats, guys. It's amazing work, very, provoking. It's what we need today. So well done, guys.
Exactly, Borja, you hit it right on the spot. As you know, the question is, where is the value? On any new technology, we have to put the value in the perspective of the people who are going to consume it. And as we were embarking on all these vector, relationships and this conceptual way of searching, we started the conversation. What form is that going to take? Are we going to dump out big paragraphs of text to people? Or are we going to give them something that represents those new layers of relationships and relevance with form and motion and structure and a state that also expresses relevance, right? And it all begins there, and we cannot forget that. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a most beautiful, wonderful Friday and long weekend in most parts of Europe. And thank you so much, guys. Pedro, you rock. Thank you so much. And Carmen and everybody in Academy who was behind this. Thank you for everybody who supports these sessions, and everybody who attends, and everybody, Gerardo's team, who supported the front engineering side of things. Thank you, everybody, and the eDocs team. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
you.
Thanks, bye.
Jaime, dream, everybody. Dream, baby, dream. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.